The wind moved slowly across the dead land, carrying dust, broken plastic, and the smell of old metal. This planet had no real name anymore. Long ago, maps called it KX9, but most people simply called it the dumping world. No one came here to build. They came to leave things behind. Evan Hale walked alone across the rocky ground, his boots sinking slightly into gray soil. He wore a faded human exploration suit, scratched and patched many times. A heavy bag rested on his back, filled with scrap parts he had collected from old alien wrecks. This was how he survived. He salvaged what others threw away. Evan had lived on frontier worlds for most of his life. He knew silence. He knew danger. And he knew when something felt wrong. The sun was low, casting long shadows between broken ship hulls and cracked stone pillars. Evan's scanner hummed softly at his wrist, showing no life signs nearby. That was normal. This place was avoided by most living beings. Then he heard it. At first he thought it was the wind. A faint sound almost lost between the rocks. Evan stopped walking. He turned his head slightly, listening. There it was again. A tiny sound, weak, soft. His heart began to beat faster. No animals lived here. No children. No families. That sound did not belong on this planet. Evan followed the noise toward a narrow canyon formed by collapsed debris and stone. The ground dipped sharply and shadows gathered thickly inside. As he stepped closer, the sound became clearer. A whisper. D-D-D-Y. Evan froze, his breath caught in his chest. That word was human, or at least close enough that it made his blood run cold. Slowly, carefully, he climbed down into the canyon. His hand rested near the small shock pistol at his side, though he did not raise it. The sound came again, weaker this time, like it took effort to exist. "Daddy," at the base of the canyon, partially buried under dust and cloth, lay a large alien sack. It was made of thick, organic material, dark and sealed tight with hardened bands. Evan recognized it immediately. Disposal packaging. His stomach turned. These sacks were used by several alien species to transport waste. Once sealed, they allowed almost no air inside. Whatever was placed within was not meant to survive. The whisper came again, barely louder than silence. Evan dropped to his knees. "No, no, no," he murmured, his hands already working at the hardened seal. The material resisted at first, but Evan forced it open using a cutting tool from his belt. As the seal broke, a thin rush of stale air escaped. Evan pulled the opening wider and looked inside. His breath stopped. Inside the sack lay a small alien infant. The child was no bigger than a human baby, wrapped in thin cloth soaked with sweat and dust. Its skin was pale blue, almost translucent, and faint glowing lines moved slowly beneath it, like dying stars. Large dark eyes opened weakly, unfocused, struggling to see. The baby made a soft sound, half cry, half breath. Evan lifted the child gently, cradling it against his chest. The glow beneath its skin flickered dangerously, fading in and out. He had no medical training for alien species, but he did not need a scanner to know the truth. The baby was dying. "I've got you," Evan said quietly, his voice shaking. "You're okay, I'm here." The baby's tiny hand moved, searching. Its fingers wrapped weakly around Evan's glove. The glow changed. It steadied. The lines beneath the baby's skin brightened slightly, becoming more stable. The infant's breathing evened out just a little. Evan stared in disbelief. "What are you?" he whispered. The baby looked up at him, eyes focusing now, locking onto his face. Its mouth moved, barely forming sound. "Daddy," Evan swallowed hard. He had never wanted children. Life on the frontier did not allow space for such dreams. But in that moment, holding a child that had been thrown away to die, something inside him broke open. Movement echoed above the canyon. Voices. Alien voices. Evan's head snapped up. 3 figures stood at the canyon's edge, tall, thin. Their armor was sleek and silver, reflecting the fading sunlight. They belonged to the Karun, a powerful species known for strict laws and colder hearts. One of them spoke, its voice sharp and flat. "Human." "Step away from the package." Evan tightened his hold on the baby. "This isn't a package," he said. "It's a child." The Karun soldier tilted its head slightly. "Incorrect. It is a failed unit. Disposal was authorized." Evan stood slowly, keeping the baby close to his chest. "You left it to suffocate," he said. "It was alive." The soldier's eyes did not change. It was non-viable, emotional deviation, genetic instability. The baby whimpered softly, pressing closer to Evan. The glow beneath its skin pulsed in uneven patterns. Another soldier stepped forward. "Hand it over. This matter does not concern your species." Evan felt anger rise, hot and uncontrollable. "You threw her away," he said. "You don't get her back." A pause followed. Then the lead soldier spoke again. "By interstellar law, you are in violation. You have interfered with authorized disposal. Return the unit now." Evan shook his head. "No." The word felt small, but it carried weight. The soldiers raised their weapons slightly. Evan did not move. He did not reach for his pistol. He only looked at them, eyes hard, jaw tight. "You want to kill her," he said. "You'll have to kill me first." For a moment, nothing happened. Then the baby made a sound, not a cry, something else. The glow beneath her skin flared suddenly, bright and strong. A low vibration filled the air, pressing against Evan's chest and echoing through the canyon walls. The Karun soldiers staggered back, their armor systems flickering. "What is happening?" one of them hissed. The vibration stopped as quickly as it began. The baby relaxed again, her glow fading back to a soft pulse. Evan stared down at her, shocked. The lead soldier stepped back further. Its voice had changed. "This was not in the records." Evan took that moment. He turned and ran. He moved faster than he ever had, climbing the opposite side of the canyon, rocks slipping under his boots. He could hear the soldiers shouting behind him, their equipment malfunctioning, their scanners failing. By the time they recovered, Evan was gone. He ran until his lungs burned, until the stars came out and the cold deepened. Only when he reached an abandoned human shelter, half buried in sand, did he stop. Inside, he sealed the door and slid down against the wall, breathing hard. The baby slept against his chest, warm and real. Evan looked down at her face. She looked peaceful now, her breathing steady, her glow soft and calm. "What am I supposed to do with you?" he whispered. The baby stirred, her eyes opening slightly. She looked at him, recognition clear in her gaze. "Daddy," she whispered again. Evan closed his eyes. Far above the planet, deep in space, a signal awakened ancient systems. A pulse moved through old networks, traveling faster than thought. A bond had been formed. And the galaxy had noticed. The shelter was quiet except for the soft hum of its failing power core. Evan sat against the cold metal wall, holding the small alien child close to his chest. Outside, the wind howled across the empty land, but inside, time felt slow and fragile. The baby slept peacefully now. The glowing lines under her skin moved gently like calm waves. Evan watched her breathing rise and fall, afraid that if he looked away, she might disappear. He had never felt fear like this before, not fear of death or hunger or loneliness. This was different. This fear was about losing someone who should not have existed in his life, but now mattered more than anything else. Evan checked his scanner again. No active pursuit signals. The Karun soldiers had lost his trail, at least for now. But he knew better than to believe they would give up. Powerful species did not like mistakes, and they hated losing control even more. He carefully placed the baby on a folded thermal blanket and began searching the shelter. It was an old human outpost, abandoned years ago. Most of the equipment was broken, but the emergency fabricator still worked at low capacity. Evan used it to create nutrient gel and a heating pad. When he returned, the baby's eyes were open. She looked at him as if she knew him. Her gaze followed his movements with clear focus now. When he knelt beside her, she made a soft sound, reaching out with both hands. Evan hesitated, then gently held her small fingers. They wrapped around his thumb tightly. The glow beneath her skin brightened. Evan frowned slightly. "You react when I'm close," he said softly, "like you know me." The baby smiled. Not like a human smile exactly, but close enough to make his chest ache. "I need to get you somewhere safe," Evan said. "Somewhere they won't find you." He packed what little he could carry. The next human settlement was 3 days away by rover, but his vehicle had been destroyed months ago. Walking that far with a baby was impossible. Evan activated the shelter's old transmitter. It crackled with static, but eventually a weak signal reached out into space. "Human vessel, if anyone can hear this," Evan said. "This is Evan Hale on KX-9. I need help." There was silence. He tried again. Minutes passed. Then a voice responded, rough and surprised. "This is the free trader Dawn's Mercy." "Say again, human." Relief washed through Evan. He gave coordinates and ended the transmission. The ship would arrive in several hours if it wasn't intercepted. While they waited, the baby grew restless. She whimpered softly, her glow flickering. Evan picked her up again, holding her close. Instantly, the glow stabilized. "So that's how it works," he murmured. "You come when I'm here." The thought scared him. What would happen if he was? When the ship arrived, Evan moved quickly. The Dawn's Mercy was old but solid, its hull marked by years of frontier travel. The captain, a woman named Mara Quinn, stared in shock when she saw the baby. "What in space is that?" she asked. "A child," Evan replied simply. "And she needs protection." Mara studied Evan's face, then the baby's glowing skin. "You're in trouble, aren't you?" "Yes," Mara nodded once. "Then get inside, we'll talk later." The ship jumped into hyperspace moments after departure. Evan finally allowed himself to breathe. On board, the baby was examined by a medical scanner. The results made no sense. Her biology did not match any known species fully. Her systems adapted rapidly to human environments, adjusting in real time. "She's syncing with you," Mara said quietly. "I've never seen anything like this." As days passed, the truth became clearer. The baby's health depended on emotional proximity. When Evan was calm, she was calm. When he was stressed, her glow reacted sharply, releasing strange energy pulses. Evan named her Luma. It felt right. Luma grew quickly. Within weeks, she showed signs of advanced awareness. She learned sounds, then words. Her first clear word was still the same: "Daddy." Every time she said it, Evan felt something inside him shift, but peace did not last. Deep in alien space, the Karun High Assembly reviewed the signal logs. The energy burst recorded during the failed disposal terrified them. Ancient records were accessed. Forbidden knowledge resurfaced. The child was not defective. She was a catalyst. Long ago, beings like Luma had existed. They were rare, born with the ability to form deep emotional bonds across species. Once bonded, they amplified empathy, destabilizing rigid hierarchies. Empires had fallen because of them. The Karun had erased them from history. Now one had bonded with a human. A retrieval fleet was ordered. Back in human-controlled fringe space, Evan felt it before anyone told him. Luma woke screaming, her glow flashing wildly. Systems across the Dawn's Mercy failed at once. "Something's coming," Evan said. Mara's face was pale as sensors confirmed it. Karun ships, many of them. Human authorities were contacted. The response was slow, cautious, political. "They want the child returned," the human representative said through the screen. "The Karun claim she is dangerous." Evan stepped forward. "She's a baby." "She's a threat," the voice replied. "If we protect her, it could mean war." Evan looked down at Luma, who clung to him desperately. "Then you let me go," he said, "but you're not giving her back." The line went dead. The Karun fleet arrived hours later, surrounding the station where the Dawn's Mercy had docked. Their message was clear: surrender the child. Evan stood in the center of the station's council chamber, holding Luma in his arms. Alien representatives filled the room, towering, armored, powerful. He was small among them. "You have no claim," the Karun envoy said. The unit belongs to us. Evan's voice was steady. You abandoned her. She was unfit. She's alive, Evan replied, and she chose me. The envoy's eyes narrowed. Choice is irrelevant. Luma lifted her head. Her glow spread outward, filling the chamber with soft light. Everyone felt it, not pain, not fear, but something unfamiliar, connection. Memories surfaced, regret, loss, compassion. The envoy staggered back, gasping. Luma spoke, not aloud, inside every mind. He kept me. Silence followed. Evan held her tightly as alarms began to sound. Outside the station, the Karun fleet's formations broke apart, their command structures collapsing under emotional feedback they could not suppress. The galaxy was changing. And it had started with one human who refused to walk away. The station shook as alarms echoed through every corridor. Lights flickered from white to red, then dimmed as systems struggled to stay online. Outside the wide viewing ports, the Karun fleet no longer moved in clean, perfect formations. Ships drifted slightly out of line, some turning away, others freezing in place as if unsure what to do next. Evan stood still in the center of the council chamber, holding Luma close to his chest. Her small body trembled, but her glow remained strong, spreading softly through the air. He could feel her heartbeat against him, fast but steady. The alien representatives around the chamber were no longer shouting. Some leaned against walls for support. Others knelt without realizing they were doing it. Faces that had once looked cold and superior now showed confusion, pain, and something close to fear. The Karun envoy struggled to remain standing. "Make it stop," he said, his voice unsteady. "This effect is unacceptable." Evan looked at him calmly. "She's not attacking you." The envoy shook his head slowly. "This is worse." Because for the first time in his life, the envoy could feel what others felt. The weight of every child discarded, every life judged unworthy, every choice made without mercy. Outside the chamber, human security forces moved into position, but they did not fire. They watched in silence as the Karun fleet fell into disorder. Commands were sent, orders repeated. Many ships did not respond. Luma lifted her head slightly and looked around the room. Her eyes were calm, old in a way no child's eyes should be. When she reached out a small hand, the glow changed direction, flowing outward like a wave. Across the fleet, Karun soldiers dropped their weapons. Some cried out in confusion. Others fell to their knees as memories flooded back, moments they had buried, emotions they had been trained to erase. The Karun were not built to feel this way. Their society depended on control, order, and emotional silence. Luma broke all of it without lifting a finger. Evan felt her strength begin to weaken. He noticed it instantly. Her glow flickered. Her small fingers tightened painfully in his jacket. "Hey," he whispered, pressing his forehead gently against hers. "I'm here. You're okay." The glow steadied again, drawing strength from him. That was when Evan understood the full truth. She was not powerful on her own. She was powerful because of the bond, because of trust. The Human Council finally broke their silence. A senior representative stepped forward, voice trembling but clear. "The child stays under human protection." The Karun envoy looked up sharply. "You do not understand what she is." "We understand exactly what she is," the human replied. "She's someone you tried to erase." The envoy opened his mouth to argue, but the words did not come. He could still feel the echo of Luma's presence inside his mind. It left no room for lies. Outside, Karun's ships began retreating, not in defeat but in shame. Their empire did not fall in fire and explosions. It cracked quietly from the inside. Evan was escorted away from the chamber as emergency teams worked to stabilize the station. He was taken to a secure medical wing, where Luma was placed gently on a soft bed surrounded by warm light. Doctors scanned her carefully. "She's exhausted," one of them said. Her systems burned too much energy at once. Evan stood beside her, refusing to leave. "Will she be okay?" The doctor nodded. As long as you stay. That night, Evan sat alone with her. The station was quiet now, the danger past for the moment. Luma slept deeply, her glow faint but steady. Evan watched her and thought about how close he had come to walking away that day on the dumping world. How easy it would have been to ignore a sound, to tell himself it was nothing. The galaxy would have remained unchanged. Instead, everything was different. News spread quickly. Across human space and beyond, stories were told of the human who picked up what others threw away, of a child who broke an empire not with weapons but with connection. Other species began to look at their own laws, their own discarded, their own forgotten. Some resisted, others listened. The Karun withdrew from several systems within months. Their rigid hierarchy collapsed as more of their people questioned the old rules. Without emotional suppression, they struggled, but they also began to heal. Luma recovered slowly. As she grew, she learned to walk, then to speak clearly. She laughed easily. She cried loudly. She was curious about everything. And always she stayed close to Evan. Years passed. Evan moved to a quieter world, one with blue skies and open land. He built a simple home near a small human settlement. People there knew who Luma was, but they treated her like any other child. That was what Evan wanted. Luma grew taller, her glow becoming a gentle pattern beneath her skin. She learned control. She learned boundaries. Evan taught her human ideas: choice, kindness, stubborn hope. Just because you can change how someone feels, he told her once, doesn't mean you should. People need to choose. Luma nodded seriously. You chose me. Yes, Evan said, every day. When Luma reached maturity, representatives from many worlds came to speak with her. They asked her to lead, to rule, to command. She refused. I don't want an empire, she said calmly. I want understanding. Instead, she became something new, a bridge. She traveled between worlds with Evan at her side, helping species talk instead of fight. She never forced emotions. She only shared what she felt and let others decide what to do with it. Humanity's reputation changed forever. They became known as the keepers, the ones who stayed, the ones who claimed responsibility when others turned away. One day, standing before a vast council of mixed species, Luma was asked a simple question. Why do you trust humans more than any other species? Luma looked at Evan, now older, lines of age marking his face. He smiled at her, proud and quiet. Because, she said softly, when I was nothing, one of them heard me. She reached out and took Evan's hand. And he didn't walk away. The chamber fell silent, not out of fear, out of respect. And somewhere on a forgotten world covered in dust and broken things, the wind still moved softly across the land, but no child was ever left to die there again.